All right. And again, welcome everyone to our presentation on developing a powerful LinkedIn profile. My name is Cliff Guerin. I am one of the advisors here at WGU's Career Professional Development Center. I'd like to welcome you today to our presentation. If you're just joining us, we were going over some information, including that this session is being recorded and you will get a copy of the recording. We turned this recording into a YouTube video, and then I send it out with our survey request to all of our registrants. So a few housekeeping things. Take care of yourself. If you need to get up and walk around or get a drink of water, or if you're at work and you're being called out to do something, go ahead and take care of whatever those needs are. As I said, if you missed any part of the presentation, you will get the recording, so you'll be able to go back and see any areas you missed. After the fact, if you have any questions, you can certainly email us at careers@wgu.edu. We would be glad to help you with any questions. If there are questions that are not answered from today's session, you'll always have a chance to connect back with us. So our agenda will be to do an overview of LinkedIn. We'll look at some numbers. We'll look at ways to optimize your profile. We'll look at some maybe key profile sections that you want to be aware of, and then maybe some next steps, some things that will help you along the way. And then we'll have time. Hopefully we'll have a few minutes for a Q&A at the end. So jumping right in, why why LinkedIn? Why still LinkedIn today? It's been out there for a long time. And it's been used in a number of different ways. There have also been a lot of updates and enhancements along the way. But first of all, LinkedIn is a networking tool. It is used for job searching. It's used for internships. At times, primarily it was created and developed for networking in the business world. It is not a social media tool like LinkedIn is or X. It is a business tool. It can help you to really be able to build and cultivate your brand. That's what you want to do with the networking efforts is you want to show your best self to the business world that's out there. So you want to make sure that what I call your digital footprint is good. Good, clear, clean photo, profile photo. You're posting things that are related to who you are in your industry. You're building your network connections by finding people that are aligned to your own interests and then connecting with them, introducing yourself, inviting them to connect back with you. Job searching and internships is part of how you can use LinkedIn. I'm finding out today that there are a little bit of some warnings or awarenesses that you need to have in your back pocket. One of those is that sometimes folks are applying to jobs, but they're not getting responses. We don't know exactly why that happens. It could be that a particular recruiter has a quota that they've got to fill, and they're just putting kind of maybe empty or hollow or ghosting types of jobs out there. I'd like to think that that's not the case because there are ethics that could come into play with that. Plus, I would think that somebody would get caught from their employer. But whatever the reason might be, it can happen. So just real quickly on that point, what I'm hearing from students, actually, even from as early as today, find the jobs that interest you on LinkedIn. Then go to that company. Don't apply to the job from LinkedIn. Go to the company's own website and then do a search for that particular job and apply from the company's own source. You might have a better way of really being able to connect to people in that way. But LinkedIn can also be used to explore and research industries, companies, career paths. Really useful to find out more about if you're interested in a targeted company that you want to follow. Uh, then maybe LinkedIn will be a good source for you to find out more about their background. So when we're looking at the numbers, these numbers have probably already changed, but over a billion members are on LinkedIn. That's worldwide. More than 67 million companies have a profile on LinkedIn. We ourselves at WGU, we're well over 315,000 that's on here. So I forgot to put my K there, but lots of folks are on LinkedIn. LinkedIn, the LinkedIn alumni tool is a great way for you to find out who are my WGU classmates that are on LinkedIn that are software developers, cybersecurity professionals, accountants, nurses, anything within your particular degree plan can be a way for you to begin to research and find your classmates from WGU and then connect with them. We'll talk about that in just a little bit. 94% of recruiters are still using LinkedIn to find people, to find talent, more than any other social media platform, again, because it's a business platform, not a social platform. So finding those recruiters and letting them find you is a great way to be able to use your LinkedIn profile. So start connecting today. This is a great place to start. Do you have your phones out? Do you have your LinkedIn profiles pulled up? Cut and paste your own LinkedIn URL in the chat. We're using the chat to communicate for questions. Why don't you start communicating with the audience today? Put your own LinkedIn profile in, start connecting. That's why we're here. We'll be here for a little bit while. So when you're ready, go ahead and put it in the chat. Pay attention, folks, to who is sharing with you. Connie's our first one. So grab the URL, find out more about them. That's great. Now, when we're digging into a little deeper into optimizing your LinkedIn profile, there's something you want to be aware of, and it's called the Recruiter LinkedIn tool. That Recruiter LinkedIn tool is something unique that they will be using to find you. So this is like a two-way mirror. In the way that you be doing job searching, they're going to be doing talent searching. So those algorithms have a specific way of being able to rank what's most important. So the way that you can pop up on the radar probably sooner than later is to look at the sections that are indexed higher by that recruiter's tool and that search algorithm. And those things are your headline, which is what goes below your picture, your job title line. We're going to talk a little bit about that because there's a way that you can even use hashtags under your headline to get attention. And then later on in your profile, you'll have a section for your skills. And we'll talk about how that skills section is being used by those algorithms and by the LinkedIn Recruiter tool. So optimizing your profile, you want to be able to find some sample job descriptions, 2 or 3 within your industry. Identify what those qualifications are. What are they saying? If you're qualified, you're going to have these skills. This is what we're looking for. Those keywords from your targeted industry will be, as long as you match them, right? As long as they're transferable skills, that's what's going to help you to pop up on the radar with that SEO, that search engine optimization. Industry skills, relevant transferable skills, any certifications that you've obtained or that you will obtain from your WGU experience. And then again, those job titles that you're searching for. Finding those keywords, you can even use Chat GPT. You can use Copilot. You can use any kind of AI in there. And just the prompt could simply be act as a recruiter and give me the top 50 keywords for a software developer in the gaming industry. If it's that detailed, not too detailed, that's enough to tell that AI chatbot what you're looking for and then what you how you want to receive it. 50, you don't want a million, you want just a reasonable amount. And then that other instruction, act like a recruiter, that's what we call a persona. So you're giving that AI chatbot a personality, or a persona, a person. And so it will take that on as those algorithms are looking for specific keywords that you're asking them to find for you. Now, with some of the things that you'll find out today, afterward, you want to go back and edit your profile. You want to go back and add those hashtags. This is just a quick reminder of how to do it. You can go back to your picture at the top right where it says me under it. You can click on that. That should open up your settings. You might even find a little pencil. We'll show you where that is. It's here on the screen. That little pencil where you can open up an editing dialog box that you already have content in, and you can edit that or add to it or whatever you want to do. You can add a profile section if you don't have one already. You can add additional sections. If you can see McCall's, that's the sample we have here. Look what she has. She has her name. She has her professional credentials that she has, her MA. She has some other certifications. And then she has, we're going to go into deeper detail with this. Don't just put your job title, put more than that. Put a little bit more of the information in your background that you want people to know about. McCall has that she is a 4-time certified career development specialist. She's a career coach, certified resume writer, and then she has a value statement. Fostering economic mobility and professional success through relationship building and top-tier career advising. That's pretty cool. So there's a value statement that really punches up her profile, punches up her her section here more than just her job title. Then she has some hashtags. Talks about hashtag careers, hashtag job search, hashtag now hiring, hashtag resume writing. So you see those algorithms that recruiting tool can pick up on those hashtags as kind of like the bat signal. You know, it's getting that out there for people to find. Now, a little bit about the profile photo. And sometimes folks don't have a photo, even with handshake. This is important. Your photo can bring you up to 21 times more views from people who are searching, 9 times more connection requests. My sister works for a big marketing and advertising company here in Dallas, Texas. And so when she has people who are applying for jobs at her company, and she goes to her or she goes to their LinkedIn profile, if there's no photo, she moves on. I've talked to recruiters and I've talked to other, even faculty here at WGU, and if they look at student profiles with no photo, they consider it incomplete. They might bring it up to them, but we do when we're doing a LinkedIn review for students who ask for a LinkedIn review. If there's no photo, we have a review form we use and we highlight that. I strongly recommend you have a good profile photo. That's going to be just you, not your baby, not holding a dog, nothing like that. Shoulders or above, a friendly smile, natural lighting. Now, don't wear a hat, don't wear sunglasses, don't be looking out in space somewhere. Don't have a bunch of stuff behind you. Neutral lighting, just, make sure there's good lighting. It's not too dark or not too washed out. And looking at the camera and smiling. This is you're inviting the world in, right? So this is a way for us to see who you are. I would not use AI to create your photo. If you want to use AI to enhance something, that's great, but don't use something that's going to look like it's generated by AI. Now, that banner that's behind your photo, if you don't do anything with it at all, it's just gray, right? Can be kind of boring. But it's real estate you can use to get more information and to really, again, draw people in. You want to invite people, make your profile engaging. This is one way to do it. It stands out to recruiters. It can help enhance your brand, but you want to keep it clean, professional, not too busy, not look cluttered. You can use other platforms to create something if you can't find something online. That could be Canva, it could be Photoshop, it could be anything else that you might create graphics with. Here's an example by Olivia Wilson. She's a social media marketing professional. She has her URL for her website that's there, maybe a couple of them. She has an email that's there. So it's easy to do a Google search, for that. Just make sure that you use part of the prompt you want to use is for my LinkedIn banner. So then those algorithms in the search request will find the right size. They'll find the right examples for you to choose from. Now, the other thing that I see often that I like to bring up is your public URL. So those of you, and this is why we're here. This is a good lesson. So look at the ones that people have already put their URL on their the chat for you to look at. What you want to do is you want to be able to edit your URL to take out the letters and numbers at the end. That's there. Oops. I meant to go back up to the chat. So let me highlight two folks. First, Connie Simmons. She has her URL, and the very last thing she has on the URL is her name. It's easy to find her. It's easy to read. No, no chatbot will be confused with extra characters. And then Kyle, if I could pick on you for just a little bit. You've got Kyle there. He's got Kyle dash Talbot, but then you've got the numbers and letters at the end. So those are really not necessary, as you can edit and customize your URL. That's just an example, but that's one thing you want to be able to do. Again, it makes your profile easier to read and easier to find. It can be used easier on your resume. And it's just don't use your birth year or age or phone number, of course. Don't use extra numbers, kind of what we're saying. Keep it as simple and straightforward as possible. Now, back to the headline for just a moment. So back to the headline, looking at the headline, I pulled this up already. We talked about it, but this is just some in a little bit more detail. It's the number one section prioritized by the LinkedIn Recruiter algorithm. So when those algorithms are doing a search, it's prioritizing this headline to find, pertinent information. It's easier to see. It's the first thing, besides the picture. It's the most visible in those search results. It's a brief snapshot of who you are, what you do, and what you can offer. Like we talked about earlier, that value statement. You want to have it key rich, and you want to make sure that when you're writing your headline and some of the about section, your 30-second commercial we're going to get into in just a moment, it needs to be about what is your trajectory? Where do you want to go with this? Now, you may add some of your background, of course, your background information, but it needs to be future oriented. So ask yourself, what is my career target? What do I want to do with my degree when I graduate? What are the top skills in my industry that I already have or that I'm learning through coursework? And what problems can I solve or do I want to solve? If that's even relevant to your particular degree plan. Now, here are some really good formulas. Folks are like, I understand the headline thing. And maybe I'll go to ChatGPT and get some assistance, but I don't know much about really how to get started. Well, this is a good way to do it. Here are 3 ways and 4 examples of a formula to use. The first one is start with a target job title that you're looking for. I see Valentine or Valentine there. I'm a UX designer. I'd love to connect with everyone. So that might be the job title, UX designer, keyword, 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 skill, then maybe a value statement. What do you hope to do as a UX designer? What's your dream proposition for customers or for an employer? And another way to do it could be maybe a job title, maybe certifications that you're getting that you want to highlight or boost out there for employers to get their attention. Then your keyword skills. But if you're not there yet, and that's perfectly okay, it could be a job function versus the job title, then the industry skills, and then close with your value statement or value proposition. So under this, you'll see the 4 examples. One, somebody that may be an HIM, Health Information Management, they're a records specialist. HIPAA compliant, electronic records, health records. What does she want to do with this? Safeguard patient documentation to promote accurate and confidential healthcare data management. Now, the one on the end is the job function. So, aspiring cybersecurity analyst. She's not there yet, but she's on her way, right? Network security, that's what she wants to do. Threat detection, incident response. Protecting digital frontiers with proactive defense strategies. That's her value proposition. So some really good ways of looking this over. Now, your 30-second commercial, that's your about section. That could be similar to what's on your resume. The difference is on LinkedIn, you can use personal pronouns, first person pronouns. I did this, I am this, I want to do that. Now, this is the #1 section viewed by recruiters. So remember, the other one said with the headline is the #1 section prioritized by the algorithm, but your about section is the #1 viewed by a human. It's the largest character limit that you can have, up to 2,600. You may not go that high, You want it to be just enough as a hook to catch the attention of a recruiter, but you don't want your profile to look too cluttered. You do want it to support your headline, your brand. You want to focus on, again, those keywords, your experiences, your transferable skills, your values, It needs to be future oriented, not what you did, but what do you want to do. You can personalize it. You could talk about, again, your leadership style, your passions, your unique strengths, the things that, why do you want to work here? Kind of stuff. And those are going to help you to integrate those keywords and industry skills. Now, some writing tips, and again, a little bit more of a formula on your about section as a narrative. As we said, you're telling a story, so talk about yourself. Write in the first person. You want to capture attention. That's going to be the hook for getting attention, not only by recruiters, but also by other people who may be looking and searching to connect with you. It doesn't have to be very long, maybe a few paragraphs, but it wants to tell your story and your brand. So if you were to work with just 3 paragraphs, your opening paragraph might answer these questions. What do you do? Why do you do it? What draws you to this particular field that you're studying for, perhaps? And what motivates you to even go further? Then the middle paragraph can now be about your background. What do you bring to the table? What skills do you already know? Or are you maybe projects that you're learning new skills with? What are those transferable skills that you bring from other jobs? And you can even say how it's relevant to the new job. So you don't, even on your resume, you don't want to just list a series of skills. You want to say why should I be concerned about this? What do you want me to know about this? Don't just put organized. What do you mean by that? And then maybe how you achieve results. Then your final paragraph or closing can be, what are your goals? Where do you want to go with this? What kind of opportunities are you seeking? And then a call to action. Let's connect. Let's solve these problems together. Something like that. Now, here's a great way of really breaking this up. You can make these into more of section headings. And then under the section heading, you can do maybe a few bullet points or phrases. But that section heading can really be an eye opener and get attention. So I used the same 3 paragraphs, and instead of the questions, I put in all caps and maybe bold the heading, and then I would write the content under the heading. What do I do? This is what I do. Why a career in accounting or marketing or business management? This is why. My top values are, and then make them relevant to the industry. What captivates me is an example. What drives me. You don't have to use all these, and you can come up with ones for yourself. These are just some examples. The middle paragraph, my career highlights, problems I solve, knowledge I bring, my top 5 strengths, how I lead teams, if that's relevant, technologies I use. Everybody can include that, even nurses. If you're using Epic or you're using charting software, anything like that can be helpful. And then the closing again, my career goals are where I want to go, your call to action to connect, and opportunities I'm drawn to. Now, the experience section is going to be very similar to your resume. It's going to be you don't want to keep it overpopulated, if you will, or bloated or cluttered. I'd still keep it maybe 5 to 7 bullet points if you're using bullet points, maybe 2 lines, 2 or 3 lines. It needs to be easy to read. It needs to be somewhat quickly to skim, so not too detailed, perhaps. But you still can go back 10 to 15 years. That's going to help, minimize age discrimination. You don't want to go back further. Even if you've had 20 plus years in your industry, keep it concise. For less relevant experience, you can highlight those transferable skills. You don't want to have any gaps in your work history, just like your resume, but you don't have to go into a great detail if it's not as relevant as maybe some other jobs. Just give enough to get the point across. Now you can, as on your resume, you can add microship or micro internships, volunteer experiences, clinical experiences, anything that's going to show that you've had hands-on, face-to-face experiences in your industry. Now, here's a really creative way to make your experience section a little bit more interesting, is to use what we call compound job titles. Now, remember that job title line is a high index for that LinkedIn recruiter algorithm. So this might be a good way to get those rich keywords onto your LinkedIn profile. So here's some examples. Marketing associate, social media strategist, instructional designer, content developer. See, these are things that second part is relevant and related to the first part. As a marketing associate, you're probably going to work with social media, so you want to strategize. You probably are doing that. Go ahead and put it there as part of your title. Instructional designers, creating content for teaching or for learners, content developer. Software engineer, well, what kind of software engineer? Full stack, front, rear, Python developer, web developer, things like that. And then adding even more keywords at the end of that can just make it even more interesting. Here are just some examples. Health information specialist, clinical information systems, data entry. Human resource coordinator, recruiting, onboarding, payroll, payroll, people. Cybersecurity analyst, network security, threat management, whatever, that's something that you might want to be doing. I'm not to be silly, I'm a home cook, and when I'm developing recipes or I'm cooking from another recipe, I may find other ingredients that make it a deeper, richer dish. I don't want to overwhelm it with a lot of ingredients, but maybe a couple of things. That's what this does. This can make your profile and your work experience a little deeper and richer for the reader. Now, again, these are optional, but some things that we have found that could add, again, that deepness and richness to the job scope line, if you will, your responsibilities. Include 4 to 7 accomplishment statements. Those are going to be, not just what you did, but how did you do it? If you can include results or metrics, that's great. Not all of us can. So don't worry about it. But if you can, that adds to the richness of your experience section. But whatever you do, focus on the greater purpose behind your task. Again, don't just tell me what you did, but how did you do it? Use strong action verbs. Look at, go back and look at what that job was about. What did you learn from that? What do you want the new employer to know about this? How it could benefit them? And even those soft skills can be useful. Communication skills, ability to work in teams, diplomatic communication skills, technologies you use, things of that sort. So in your education section, again, very similar to your resume. What you want to include is obviously your WGU degrees that you're pursuing now. You can go into a little bit more detail if you want to give your coursework some key courses that you're getting into. If you have worked on or beginning to consider or contemplate your capstone project, you can include that as well. And again, any new things that you have learned through projects or technologies, things of that sort. If you have your bachelor's degree, that's where you can stop. You don't need to include your associates. You don't ever include your high school. If you have your master's degree, you do include your bachelor's degree, but that's where you stop, regardless of what your bachelor's degree is. It's just sort of the writing style of both LinkedIn and your resume. So every publication has its own writing style. So these electronic publications have this writing style. If you have a master's, you include your bachelor's. And as I was going through this a little bit, again, that can include areas of study, things you have picked up on the way, activities, professional associations you might belong to. If you're in HR and you belong to SHRM, there's a section on LinkedIn to include professional associations. Get my cursor back here. All right. So that skill section that I mentioned earlier. Let me take a moment here to stop for a second. If you have joined us a little later, this is being recorded and you will get a copy of the recording. I will email that out to you as a YouTube link. That will probably come to you sometime tomorrow. So just want to let you know, if you've joined us, welcome. I hope that you're getting some good tips out of this. Another good tip is to make sure that you're working your skills section. So your skills section is indexed at a higher rate, again, with that LinkedIn Recruiter algorithm. So you can include up to 100 skills in that skills section, but you want that top 5 to be your most important. When I look at a LinkedIn profile, I may only see 1 or 2 skills until I open up that section. So make sure that top 5 that I'm going to see first will be your most important skills you want to get across to a recruiter, because 17 times more profile views are made when you've got those stronger skills listed at the top of your list. Now, if you want to include all 100, make sure they're powerful, make sure they're going to get attention and that someone's going to read them. It can increase your discoverability, but don't include ones that are not relevant. It's better to have 25 super strong skills than 100 that are mediocre. So here's more of kind of what I've talked about before. That selected skills, that drop down menu. It's really good for those search engine optimizations. They will open it. Folks will open those skills. I do that when I do a review of LinkedIn profiles to see what's there. Now, because of the applicant tracking systems and AI, go ahead and include both those skills or certifications that are spelled out and abbreviated. So another one, let's say you got your MBA. Go ahead and write out Master's Business Association, parentheses, you can put MBA, because both will be picked up by those profile or by those what am I trying to say? Those searchings and also those platforms that are acting like applicant tracking systems. All right. So again, that LinkedIn skills assessment, there used to be an assessment. It's no longer available, but you can still tag to a skill and credential that you're obtained. Again, LinkedIn changes things up every once in a while. So we try to give some tips on how to enhance the updates. As long as we can catch them and how we can understand them, we try to include them. So here's again a way to get into your skills section. You're gonna when you go to your profile, you'll be able to go to that top section and click on your picture. You should be able to find on all your sections these little pencils. When you click on that, you'll be able to include your skill sets and your descriptions and things like that. Now, again, a section that you can add if you haven't already will be one for licenses and certifications. This is really good to just kind of deepen your knowledge for recruiters, showcase your achievements. It's a way for you to demonstrate your commitment to the industry and that you didn't just settle on maybe just a degree or further experience, or volunteer work or internship. But taking that, and then you're lucky here at WGU because some of your programs are giving you those certifications as part of the degree plan. But if you don't have that and you want to make a splash, and I get that question all the time, how do I get more attention from recruiters? What do I need to do? It's not required because there might be a fee attached to it, but if you can find a certification that's relevant to your industry and that's something you want to pursue, maybe you can look at LinkedIn Learning, which you have free access to. You don't need the professional level of LinkedIn to do any of this. But you do want to keep it relevant. You want to keep it targeted to your industry, things of that sort. You could add the URL to the organization on LinkedIn. Don't put it on your resume because on your resume, if it's going through a specific applicant tracking system, those live hyperlinks could trigger a spam folder. You don't want that to happen. But on LinkedIn, I think you can add the URL and that could boost credibility. You don't have to. If it looks too busy or cluttered, you don't really need to include it. It's optional. Now, if you have folks who can write a recommendation, you want these to be professionals. You want them to be people you worked with, people in different departments that know you, things like that. You don't want them from neighbors or family or pastors or anything like that. The why, who, and how of it all, it's going to help boost your professionalism, your brand. It's going to help you stand out amongst the competition. It can help, somebody else talk about you and kind of shine a light on you, your strengths and achievements. Again, the who can be managers, supervisors, people you've worked with, colleagues, even from different jobs. And then the how is, a message to them that includes and give them context. Why you're asking for this recommendation? How long do you want it to be? How's it going to be used? Um, they don't necessarily have to give their full name. You want quality over quantity, right? So again, 3 good recommendations is better than 5 or 10 mediocre ones. And then reciprocate. Let them know you're grateful for that, and that if there's anything you can do on your end, you would be available to help them out. That's just the professionalism that can come out for that. It's an etiquette trait as well. So additional sections that you can find: volunteer experience, languages, spoken languages, projects you've worked on, things like that, publications, courses. I would say I would add to this to make sure that they're relevant. So if you speak Italian, but you're going into a job that Italian is not necessary, then you don't need to include it. You can, but it's not necessary. If you wrote publications for cybersecurity protocols or things like that, but you're going into a job that's not required, then again, it's optional. Now, a note about settings. Again, going to that top right where your picture is, click on that, should open up your settings. And to the left, you'll see the different categories of settings that you can find. If you want to adjust yours for visibility, for example, you only want your network to see this, you only want recruiters to see, that's perfectly fine. You can adjust those settings. How you sign in. Now, I have seen a couple of profiles that only list the person's first name and last initial. So you want to go in and you want to be able to change your settings to include your last name. So your full name is there. That's all done in that settings, the privacy section, sign in security that would be there. Who can see my full name? It's right there. Who can see my last name? Okay. Now this is, it's there. It's just there. You can use it if you want. I get a mixed response from recruiters and folks on the hashtag open to work or open to whatever. Um, the mixed signals I get are sometimes recruiters will say it looks a little desperate. Some will say, well, if you're trying to, not broadcast that you're looking for a job, you don't want your current boss to know, don't put this halo around there or this ring around. Um, they're putting out other open to other areas more than just work. So those are included at times. But on the other end, it does show to recruiters that you're available. So if you're not working, and that's not an issue, but you do want to give an extra signal out there for recruiters to find you, this might be a way to do it. And then again, you go to the under your profile where your banner is and where your hashtags are. If you include those, you've got to open to, you click on that and it will give you some options to include. All right. So next steps going from here. One thing I don't believe I included, but you could break up your week. Monday, look for new connections, and add some if you want to do searches. Do a job search. Tuesday, you know, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, break it up, and then find other additional things to keep your profile looking active, because that's going to make you look, that you're proactive and you're not static in that. But if you want us to do a LinkedIn review, we will use our own LinkedIn user guide as a way for you to be able to find more information, and we'll give you some insights. All you have to do is contact us at careers@wgu.edu to request a review. We do have additional workshops on developing your personal brand, using AI for networking, even job searching workshops that can incorporate how you can increase your personal brand. Then you bring that back to your LinkedIn profile. It can all come back to help you with your profile. Now take a moment and think about what action will you do with the rest of this week to help you with your profile. Now, a word on JobScan. JobScan has a LinkedIn profile optimizer. You put your profile in, your URL, it will scan to see how well it matches the jobs you want. You could put in a job description. You can even put in your resume in the LinkedIn profile optimizer part. JobScan tells us by doing this and updating your LinkedIn profile, you can get 3 times more interviews. You can get 132 times more profile views, and even 46% shortened time to an interview invitation. As you know, we have the JobScan resume scans, There's a job tracker. There's also a cover letter generator, and you get the highest tier of membership, and you don't have to do anything except sign into your through your WGU credentials. So you've got a premium membership with being a WGU student. Now, if you have your phones out and you want to take a shot of this QR code, this is where you can take the survey, or you can wait and get the survey in the email that I'm going to send out the video on. But here are other ways to connect with us through our website, of course. We do have a YouTube channel, and we have some playlists of our other workshops. There's our email right there. If you have a quick question that you want to talk to an advisor, not a full appointment, just a really kind of in and out kind of thing, you can give us a call and leave a voicemail, and then somebody will call you back either that same business day or the next business day. When you're looking at events on Handshake or even on our homepage, you might see some that are drop-in hours. Those are like open office hours. It's not a workshop. It's not a presentation. But again, it's a way for you to get a live answer to a question. All right, folks. Well, that is our presentation. I'm going to stop sharing, but open up to questions. If you have any questions based on today, you can put them in the chat, and I'll be glad to do the best I can to answer those. If you don't, and I hope you got something out of this presentation, you are free to take your leave. We have officially ended our presentation. In fact, I will go ahead and stop the recording.